Hello, welcome to Jason the Old Millennial. My name is Jason, speaking to you here in my basement in the great state of Kansas. Today's video, I'm continuing my series where I'm ranking all 95 Best Picture winners. Of course, we're getting close to the Oscars on March 10th, so there'll be 96 Best Picture winners. So hopefully I can get this done before we get to the next Best Picture winner. But yeah, I got 25 more movies to talk about. In this video, I'm gonna do 25 through 16. So we're definitely getting there. Probably 3 more videos left in the series. And these are definitely getting to really good movies. These are some of my favorite movies that have won Best Picture. So it's going to be more fun to talk about these movies for sure. So stay tuned to hear my thoughts on Jason the Old Millennial. Hello, everybody. Hope everybody's doing well here on a Saturday evening, I guess now it is here. It's gotten a little bit colder here in Kansas. It snowed the other day, but not terrible. Like the snow didn't stay or anything. It didn't ruin the streets so that was nice. Still, it's getting to below 10 degrees, so it's getting a little more chillier, but that's to be expected in February. It's usually about the coldest month in Kansas normally. But yeah, that's what I'm going with. Yeah, so we're talking about more of Best Picture winners. So yeah, going from 25 to 16. So yeah, I think some really, really good movies here. Definitely talk about, and I'm glad we're getting kind of close to getting to my top, 20, top 15 movies, and hopefully you guys will agree with me. So first, we're gonna go with number 25, which is, this might be a surprise. I think this is a very underrated movie, and that is Greenbook, which won Best Picture in 2018. And this is very criticized. People really were kind of upset that this movie won. And I can't remember exactly what movies were going up against at the time, but I know people were not really wanting this one to win. In fact, anytime someone talks about Greenbook, they talk about it as like one of the worst movies to ever win Best Picture. I actually think it's a really good movie, and I thought it was actually my favorite movie that probably got nominated that year. I want to say that might have been the same year as Bohemian Rhapsody. It was also one I actually quite enjoyed. I wouldn't mind seeing that one win either. I didn't think Greenbook was going to win that year, in fact. I'm trying to think what was going up against, but I feel like there was another movie that year that I thought was going to win, like Roma or something. But anyways, it's a nice story of, I say nice, it's kind of doing with race relations of, it's kind of somewhat loosely based on a true story, though there's been some people come out and saying like it's not very true or whatever, but I don't know. As a story, I kind of actually like it. It's a little cheesy maybe at times, but I don't mind that too much. Dealing with true people that really existed, and we have Viggo Mortensen with another really good performance here. And Viggo Mortensen really changes himself. He gained a bunch of weight for the role. He's Italian in here. Gets another Best Actor nomination for the role. And Viggo Mortensen's been kind of one of the best actors lately that really changes the way he does, changes his look, changes his acting style to fit the movie. And yeah, another really great performance. Also not the other Vinchel, I'm forgetting his name now, also puts in a really great performance and wins the second Oscar for Best Supporting Actor in his role. Second movie win Best Picture that he got to be in, along with Moonlight. Which again, I'm forgetting his name. I thought mine. I don't have him written down here, unfortunately. Mahershala Ali, that's it. Mahershala Ali, another great performance by him. And I love the contrast between the two characters. You have a person who's black, who during a time when there's a lot of racism, especially in the South, towards black people, and there's a lot of black people are kind of seen as usually in the poorer class, uneducated class. And working, the fields and stuff. And here you got a guy who's black who is extremely educated. He's got like 3 doctorate degrees. So he's a really smart guy. He's an incredible piano player. He makes money playing piano. and he's very sophisticated. You know, he dresses nice. He's rich. All these things. He's also gay, which is unusual at the time, it seems like, and he really looked down upon black society, in fact. And you know, so he was married once, but he's not married, doesn't have kids. You know, he's not really a family guy in that sense. And he contrasts that with Viggo Mortensen's character, who's his driver slash kind of bodyguard, who is the exact opposite. He's white, but he's poor. He has a wife and kids. He's a family man. He's not very educated. He's not real smart, not sophisticated at all. Uses foul language, you know, and other stuff that Mahershala Ali's character doesn't like. You know, he's rough. He's kind of a rough guy. He kind of deals with the mafia a little bit. Yeah, so I love the contrasting styles between the two characters, where it felt like here, like the black character seems like he should be the one that should be poor and all this stuff, but he's actually the one that's, you know, rich and educated, while the white guy, you think, is usually the one that's, you know, the rich educated guy, but he's the poor uneducated guy. And so I love how the Mahershala Ali's character feels like he doesn't belong, you know, because he doesn't belong with the people of his own race, because they're dealing with hardships that he's not dealing with anyways. But then, of course, he does deal with racism and all that stuff as well, and sees that the dark side of all that. But I think it's actually really, I think it's a good movie dealing with that. It's also very funny at times. I think there's some good humor there. I think the performances are great, and it has a great ending to it. I think a little cheesy, but I like it. It's a good happy ending to the movie. Anyways, yeah, so I really like Greenbook. I'm saying a lot on this one movie, but I just want to defend it. I think it's actually a really good movie. So at 25, I got Greenbook. 24, I have a movie called Spotlight. It won Best Picture in 2015, which deals with a really heavy subject matter. It's another movie I wasn't sure was going to win Best Picture. It's the one that I thought there's some other movies that probably get in there, but Spotlight got in there, which was actually kind of cool. I think it's actually a really good movie, dealing with well, how do I say it? You know, dealing with the Catholic Church and the child pedophilia that's been rampant in the Catholic Church, you know, and how long. Huge issue with the Catholic Church that they've kind of tried to sweep under the rug. And it's about this Boston journalists group called Spotlight, who kind of uncover all the horrible stuff that's going on there in the Catholic Church, and kind of helps, you know, put definitely a black eye or a dark stamp onto Catholicism, you know, because all these cases are coming out with all these different priests, Catholic priests, that are, you know, sexually, you know, doing things with kids. It's just horrible subject matter, and it's very important that we uncover all that stuff and try to get rid of all the bad Catholic priests out there, for sure, you know. And just, why is that happening? You know, there's a question of like, why are we having this problem in the Catholic Church? You know, what is the Catholic Church going to do about it? You know, they're trying to cover it up, you know, and all that. So yeah, very important subject matter. I think some really great dramatic moments here, of course, and you like the fact that they're, you know, trying to fight something evil and try to, you know, try to get everybody noticed about it. Anyway, so yeah, a lot of good stuff here. Great actors. I mean, Miles Keaton here is great, I think. Again, one of the lead roles. I think Rachel McAdams does a real good performance, gets nominated. Yeah, overall good cast, good performances. It's a hard subject matter. It's not a movie I go back to, because subject matter is hard to go back to. It makes you mad. This movie, if you watch it, you'll go out just angry at the Catholic Church and what they've done. Ruined so many people. Anyways, so that's kind of interesting to kind of see how that got uncovered there in Boston area especially. But yeah, I think the movie could have gone even worse. I think they should have been even, some of the characters get angry in the movie, and I'm thinking, yeah, you need to get angry. Hurting kids should make you angry. And I think the movie could even had even more anger towards what's going on. Anyways, but yeah, overall, I think a really well done movie. Spotlight, number 24 on my list. Number 23 is a movie you probably never heard of. I think it's a very underrated movie and actually quite good that you should check out. And that is The Life of Emile Zola, which won Best Picture in 1937. So yeah, this is a movie that won way back in the 30s. And it's a movie that's never talked about. You'll probably never heard of this movie. And it definitely was a surprise when I watched it. And It's like, wow, this is actually quite good. Paul Mooney, who's another actor who's not talked about a lot, he was one of the best actors of the 30s, 40s era. He won Oscar actually the year before this movie for a movie called Story of Louis Pasteur, which he gives another good performance there and wins the Oscar. Anyways, this movie I think he should have won the Oscar as well. He gave a really great performance. And it's based off of a true story of a person named Emile Zola, who I think is maybe French, if I remember right, French writer. Anyways, and we kind of see him go from being kind of a poor nobody to then he writes some stories about poor people in France or something like that, and he gets some notoriety and he gets kind of famous as this famous writer. And so we kind of see a little bit of that at the beginning, and then the movie really centers on this one true story that happens in France where the army, I forget exactly what happens, but someone makes a mistake, and so they pin it on this Jewish soldier because he's Jewish. They pin it on him and they arrest him and put him in jail, even though he's innocent. And I think his name is Dreyfus. It was this famous case that you might not know called the Dreyfus case. Anyway, yeah, Dreyfus is Jewish, a Jewish soldier who gets blamed for something that he didn't have anything part of, but they need a scapegoat. So they put it on him. They put him in jail. And anyways, and so Emile Zola, even though he's a writer, he finds out about it and decides to help out Dreyfus and kind of becomes his lawyer, basically. And there's a whole court case scene where he gives a really good speech, and it's a great scene, and Paul Mooney just knocks it out of the park, anyways. And he still is guilty, but eventually they let him out, anyways, and that's a great moment in the movie. So it's another one of those movies where someone gets unlawfully jailed and then finally get justice and get out, But yeah, I said Paul Mooney's great. The guy who plays Dreyfus I think he won the Oscar for Best Supporting Actor, if I remember right. One of the first ones to win the Supporting Actor Oscar. Maybe the first one, I can't remember. He gives a great performance as Dreyfus, actually has some good scenes anyways. But yeah, it's hard to talk about this movie, but I was saying, I don't know, I think you should check it out. It might be a little slow at times, but I think the performances are great. I think there's some good story moments. It's really kind of underrated hidden gem movie, Life of Emile Zola, at number 23 on my list. Number 22 is another older movie that I think is actually quite good, and that's Mrs. Miniver from 1942, which takes place, it's made in 42, it's taking place during World War II, about World War II and what's going on in England. So it's really cool. You get really this slice of life of like, oh man, like they're actually going through this, because I don't know if America didn't enter the war till a little bit later, until after 41, I guess. So we're kind of getting to the war as well, but we haven't got into Germany or anything yet. But of course, England was getting bombed by Germany, so this kind of takes place during that time where they're getting bombed by the Germans, and so they're in fear for their lives. Miss Miniver is just a character, and it's about her and her family living in kind of the small town in England, dealing with World War II starting and dealing with the Nazis bombing them and all that. And we see the effects it has on their family and all the town. But yeah, it's a really good story, I think. The main actress, I'm forgetting her name on top of mine, won the Oscar for actress. It's great. Well, actually, a lot of good performances here, and we see there's a love story, actually a really good love story in there as well. Their son falls in love with this other girl in town, and we kind of see that happen. And he also joins the army during World War II. Yeah, I don't know what to say. It's just there's a lot of great story moments in there. There's even this whole thing of it's called Miss Miniver because there's this one guy who there's a contest for best flower in town. They have this big contest, and there's one guy, he's this nice old guy who's he plays Clarence in It's a Wonderful Life, and he was really good performance here. And he names his flower Mrs. Miniver off of the main character, I guess, for some reason. And he enters, and so you're kind of rooting for this guy to win because there's this one rich jerk lady that nobody likes who wins every year, and so you're rooting for him. It's funny. It's who would think you'd be so invested in this part about a flower winning best flower at this contest, whatever they have. But yeah, you're invested. I'm like, yes, I want this nice old guy to win finally and beat the rich hag. Yeah, so it's funny. There's some really good moments in there like that, and then you have all the bombing scenes, and I love the very last scene. and they go into church. They're in church, which I love because you don't see people go to church that often in movies. So it's nice that they're in church, but the church has no roof on it because it got bombed out. So they're having a church service, and there's like no roof, and the preacher or whatever gives like this really good speech at the end. Anyways, but yeah, it's an excellent movie. Definitely check it out, Mrs. Miniver. Got some emotional moments as well, and some good dramatic moments. Good performances overall. So yeah, Mrs. Miniver, number 22 on my list. Number 21, definitely a movie a lot of people I think will have high on their list, and I'll just say it's called One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. Won Best Picture in 1975. It's definitely got some wild moments in it, and it's definitely the ending is definitely shocking, but yeah, I kind of enjoy it at the same time. And of course, you don't know, it deals with and Jack Nicholson wins his first Oscar for this movie, playing a guy who's in a kind of goes into insane asylum. I think mostly to not go into the draft or something like that, and so he kind of acts insane to get into an insane asylum, and so he's dealing with all these people that are insane, and nursing staff. The main one, Nurse Ratched, is, kind of very, very controlling of everybody and not a nice person. And he's trying to he's trying to escape at times. He's trying to give these people, some kind of hope in life, I guess, that they don't have in this insane asylum. And, yeah, I don't know what to say. Jack Nicholson's great performance. I love the guy who plays like the huge Indian who doesn't talk and then he talks. That guy gave a great performance. I forget his name, but there's so many good. It's the first movie with Christopher Lloyd and Danny DeVito. Interesting enough, they play small roles here. I forget. There's one guy who stutters who gets nominated for an Oscar. Who's a really good actor who was in Lord of the Rings and stuff. He gives a really good performance here as well. Of course, actress who plays Nurse Ratched won Best Actress. It's one of the few. It's only 3 movies I think that won Best Picture, Actor, Actress, Screenplay, and Director. So it's one of those few movies that won all those Oscars. And yeah, it's got some comedy in it. It's got some very dramatic moments. It's got a very shocking ending that will leave you going, "Wow!" Like I wasn't expecting that. I think it's a really really good movie, really fun movie to watch. Definitely give this one a chance. One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest at number 21. Number 20 is a very underrated movie. This movie, a lot of people don't like that much. I think it's actually really good, and that's Chariots of Fire, which won Best Picture in 1981. And in fact, a lot of people thought it was kind of the safe movie to win. There's some more controversial movies, I think, coming out that time, like I think Red, which is a pro-communist movie by, I forget his name, but anyways, some other movies I think people thought should have won. That might have been, no, I think that's after Raging Bull. But anyways, it's a movie about prejudice against, Jewish people against Christians, and dealing with the Olympics, the 1920 Olympics, anyways. And so we do have 2 main characters. One's a Christian, and this is a true story. One's a devout Christian who's going to be a missionary, in fact, and does become a missionary afterwards. And then we got a guy who's Jewish, and so we see prejudice against Jewish people. And they're both runners, and they wanted to go to the Olympics and win the gold. I think, I'm forgetting the name, but the Christian, I want to say his name's Jim something, but Jim Elliott or something like that. Anyways, I really like this character because his big thing is he's like the best runner. He's obviously going to win gold. He's like the fastest runner. Everybody knows it. And but he won't run on Sunday. So he goes to the Olympics, but he refuses to run on Sunday, which he could win a gold medal if he runs on Sunday. But I love the idea that he's sticking to his religious beliefs. As a Christian myself, I really respect and appreciate that when they do that in a movie where someone's like, okay, I have I'm not gonna I draw the line here and I'm not gonna cross it no matter what you tell me, no matter what you give me. I'm not gonna go against my core principles. And so I really like the character for that. And I love when he does run though and wins a gold medal. I guess I'm spoiling the movie, but it's of course that soundtrack, bum 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 bum, is a running slow motion, bum 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 bum. Amazing! Love the score here. The slow motion running is great. But yeah, when he's running and they do the slow motion thing, and And he says, when I run, I feel God, because he says, God gave me this gift to run. So I feel like when I run, I'm using my gift from God, So I love that whole message behind that, like, using his gift from God to try to, do good and all that. Yeah, I think it's actually a really good movie. I think it's very underrated. I think maybe people say it's a little slow movie and they don't care about the story matter. I don't know. To me, I actually think it's really good. So Chariots of Fire, number 20. Number 19, we have The Sound of Music. Absolutely huge movie, won Best Picture in 1965. It was also like the biggest box office movie of the 60s. I mean, it made tons of money. It was a popular story at the time. I mean, it's epic. It's over 3 hours. Of course, it's always been a movie I've known ever since I was a kid. I mean, my parents love that movie, so they're always playing it. So the songs are so ingrained in me as a kid. Do, Re, Mi, and Problem Like Maria, with the 16 going on 17. Edelweiss. I mean, The Hills Are Alive with Sound of Music. I mean, so many good songs here. Obviously, it's a classic. Some would probably have it higher. Some would have it number 1. I know it's a lot of people's favorite. I don't have it quite that high because I think it's a little too long. It gets a little too boring at the end. I think there's some pacing problems there, but the first half is so good. I mean, when you introduce to Maria and she gets introduced to the Von Trapp family and all that, there's so many good scenes there. Definitely deserves to be here and be Best Picture winner. And also, I was in Austria this last summer, I guess 2023, and I got to see a lot of places that they shot scenes from Sound of Music, so that was pretty cool, and that makes me like the movie even more, because I'm like, oh, I've been to these places anyways. But yeah, it's a classic for sure. So it's number 19 here, The Sound of Music. Number 18 is a World War II film. This is Patton in 1970, big George C. Scott movie, who wins Best Actor for this movie. Based on true General Patton, who was a little harsh at times, a little controversial at times, but you kind of love him for that. I mean, the opening scene where he's speaking in front of the American flag, so it's a great opener, and he has so many great lines of like, your job is not to like die for your country, it's to make the other bastard die for his country, or something like that. It's such a great line, and I think he says something like, he wants to die by the last bullet, by the last war, or something like that. He has so many great lines. And George Scott, great performance. Love his performance. And it's a good World War II movie overall. And yeah, if you like World War II movies, like, man, this is, I think, fantastic. Carl Malden's in here as well. Yeah, some really good performances, some good battle sequences, and and the idea that sometimes you have to, unfortunately, sacrifice people's lives to win the war, and to go beyond your ability to fight for your country, so it's very patriotic as well. Yeah, I really get a kick out of this movie. Patton at number 18. Number 17, another huge movie. I think another movie people have high up on the list, and I have it too, and that's The Silence of the Lambs, which won in 1991. It's another movie that won the Big Five: Best Picture, Best Director, Best Actor, Actress, and Screenplay. Here, one of the great performances, Anthony Hopkins is just so good, and he's not in it that long, which is kind of crazy. He's wins Best Actor for this role for the shortest amount of time, I think, in a movie. But every time he's on screen, you can't keep your eyes off him. Like the first time Clarice walks in and you see him standing there, you're like, what gets me is like Anthony Hopkins is not a intimidating looking guy. He's just a this old English guy, middle-aged English guy who's not that intimidating looking, but somehow when he looks at you, you're like, I'm scared of this guy. And of course you hear how, he's kind of the scary serial killer, eats his victims, and you're just like Hannibal Lecter, and you're like, and just the way they portray him in every scene, and oh, it's so good, the way he talks to Clarice and all those scenes together. That's the best part of the movie, is when those two are together going through stuff, and he's so smart, and he gets into your head, and you kind of see how he does that with Clarice, and some great lines, like, I ate his liver with Chianti and a bottle of whatever, or Chianti and fava beans. That whole scene, so good. Also, what's her name? I forget. Jodie Foster gives a really great performance. I think she's one of the best actress performances I've ever seen. So you got one of the best actors, one of the best actresses working together. They do so good. I mean, and then it's a mystery movie, you know, murder mystery type. They're trying to find a serial killer, Buffalo Bill, which is very disturbing. You know, and you got all those scenes with them too, and you got the whole, not to spoil the movie too much, but you got the whole escape scene. Hannibal Lecter escapes prison. That's a great scene. It's very violent though. I guess the only thing I don't like about it is a little too horror-ish for me, a little too disturbing in times. But yeah, it's thrilling. I'm on the edge of my seat when I watch it, and the performances are just so good that I have to give it a high. You know, 17 to me is kind of fairly high for it. It could be higher if it just wasn't for the disturbing factor of what's going on in the movie. But yeah, everything else though is just well made movie. And the last scene, yeah, so good. Anyway, so yeah, so number 17, Silence of the Lambs. The last movie I'm going to talk about is number 16 is Birdman, I call it. There's more to that title, but I just call it Birdman. It's a wild, like, long title. But I went back in 2014, and man, this was a real surprise movie for me. Like, I have this 16, and it's a weird movie subject, but yeah, it deals with a guy who, it's funny, it's almost meta because it's Michael Keaton. One of his, I think it's probably the best performance I've ever seen. I think he should have won the Oscar for Best Actor. Really kind of a resurgence in his career where he's like really a bigger actor now because of that movie. He's gotten a lot of more bigger roles. Of course, he used to be Batman back in the 89 in the Tim Burton Batman movies. So he's kind of playing a character like himself where he's like, his character used to be a superhero, and now he's trying to become like a theater actor and get to his like roots as a theater actor. And everybody's kind of criticizing like, oh, like theater acting is better than movie acting, or it's more well respected. So I do love there's this whole thing about movie criticism and theater criticism that I like. You know, you got these critics that the actors hate because they're always criticizing their work. And there's that whole thing there. But dialogue is so good. And what really makes the movie is the cinematography. Cinematography is some of the best cinematography I've ever seen. There's all these long takes where you're just following somebody for a while, and there's no cut, and then the camera just moves over to somebody else who's walking this way, and you're like, holy cow, we're just like switching from this character to this character with no cuts. And they walk in the room, and you're walking in the room with them, and you're seeing everything that they're seeing. It's just a new way of filmmaking that I don't usually see in films, where you usually cut to people and stuff. And I loved it. There's so many scenes where like the camera will be on one person for a while, and you don't even see shots of other people, which is unusual because they usually see all these different shots of people reaction shots. You have reaction shots, but you have shots where you see someone's face and you don't see the reaction, but yet by judging that person's face, you kind of get an idea of what the reaction is. And somehow it's kind of brilliant. Or you'll have someone talking to somebody through a mirror and you can see both of them through the mirror. I don't know. It was just brilliant filmmaking, like some of the best filmmaking I've ever seen. And the subject matter is a little weird, and the ending is really weird. I don't really get what happened at the ending. But I guess I'm on board, and I'm like, I'm really enjoying this movie because of the performances and because of the camera work is just fantastic. Some of the best I've ever seen. So that's why I got Birdman here at number 16. And yeah, so that's the end of my list. So please comment what do you think about these 10 movies that I put here. I do have some different genres, to be honest, some old, some new, some tense ones, some dark subject matters. But yeah, definitely comment what's your favorite movies here, what you've seen. Love to read your comments. Always love that. And love anybody that, watches these videos. Thank you to anybody who watches these videos and takes their time. I really appreciate that. Thanking anybody who's liking these videos. That really helps me out. I really like that. And yeah, just thank to all my subscribers. Really appreciate all of you.